Hey there guys, welcome back to Hursty Games and welcome to a video that people have been asking me for a little while now. I always get asked, you've got loads of coins, your club's quite stocked of stuff. When SBCs and stuff come out, you get a bunch done, but you still have things in the club. How? Because you don't spend money in the game, which I don't. I'm a no-spend RTG. But how do I still have my club full of stuff, have coins, and complete SBCs? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, I do often go through on streams and stuff over on Twitch, which you should check out, by the way. I often go through saying what I do, how I fill my club, sort of weekly investments and stuff that I make to help me boost the coins and the club stock. And people still ask how I do it. So I'm going to kind of go through it in a little bit more depth and the sort of risk reward with what it is I do. So I'm going to go through the different methods that I use, the different things I pay attention to when I look at SBCs, why I decide to do certain repeatables and not others, the things I weigh up, all that kind of stuff. If this video ends up helping you out, then please leave a like on it. Supports me a whole bunch. Obviously, hit the sub button if you're new. And yeah, let's get into it. One thing to bear in mind, all of these should be relatively viable for FIFA 23 as well. So although this is the end of the FIFA 22 game cycle, this will be stuff that probably should carry over to FIFA 23. And if you guys want to see a new video in the new FIFA as to whether these methods are still viable, then let me know, because I'll happily make more stuff like this, because if I can help you guys out with making more stuff, then sick, great. If you're feeling extra lazy and you just want to get this stuff without having to put loads of time in, then today's video sponsor might be able to help you out. Do you need some more coins for your FIFA Ultimate Team? Then look no further than U7Buy. They're the cheapest and most reliable place to get your FIFA Ultimate Team coins. And if you use code Hursty at checkout, you'll get yourself an extra discount. I want to say a massive thank you to U7Buy for sponsoring us. Don't forget that code Hursty. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so one of the first things that I do, and I kind of touched on it a little bit just then in the intro, is I do like weekly club stocks. Now, to kind of explain what that is, and a lot of people that are like big traders and stuff or big content creators and whatever else probably do this a whole lot better than me, and they do it probably more efficiently or on a higher scale. I do this sort of around work. I do this around also trying to do YouTube and Twitch and TikTok, etc. So I don't get as much time as sort of big people in the community and people that put a lot more time into this than I do. But the long and the short of it is, you want to pick up cards when they're cheap and hold on to them until they go up in price. And I'll explain sort of how that works. So, for example, we have out at the moment with footies, at the time of me recording this, we have a bunch of repeatable SBCs. And the main ones really that people are paying attention to are the 80 plus Premier League player picks and the 82 plus player picks. Now, both of these require rare golds and non-rare golds. If I am not wrong, it's 6 rare golds for both, I believe. I will double check the 80 plus one as well. I'm fairly sure it's 6 rare golds in each of them. Oh, it's only 5 for the Prem one, but still, regardless. So across those, you're basically looking at half of this SBC being rare gold cards, which is going to, of course, raise the demand for them. Now, the main two things I pay attention to every single week is it's on a Friday when we are starting to get a new batch of promotional stuff and new things coming out. But as you can see, this is all stuff that ends in like 2 days. I'm filming this on a Wednesday. That stuff ends on Friday at 6 p.m, which is like a really important time for this. So on that Friday at 6 p.m, there's a number of things that happen, but the main things to pay attention to are that all of these repeatable stuff go. They are no longer there, and therefore the demand for these rare gold cards and sometimes non-rare cards are no longer needed. So those players that are sat at like way higher than they should be then immediately drop. So for example, this week, rare gold cards have gone up from being discard from like 600, 650 to 1,300 to 1,400 coins. 1,300 on PlayStation if you want them to sell like immediately, 1.4 if you're happy to wait 10 or 15 minutes for your cards to sell. But I can tell you categorically that on Friday last week, they were 600 or 650 coins. They were literally selling for like the bare minimum because nobody needed them for anything. They weren't needed at all. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what you do is you go and pick up those cards while they're absolutely at their minimum, and you hold on to them waiting for repeatables. Because when the repeatables came out, when these ones came out, those rare gold cards by Monday, like midnight, essentially on PlayStation, were sat at like 850, 900 coins. It's not quite 1.4k, but they'd gone up 300 coins per card. So if you picked up 100 cards, you guys can do the maths, 100 by 300 coins profit, you're making decent profit at that point. If you were super patient and you waited for them to go to 1.3k, you've doubled your coins. You've literally doubled your investment because you're making 700 coins before tax per card. So you're making 600-ish coins. After that, after tax, you're literally doubling whatever you invested. And that's part of it. That's basically the main premise of this initial thing. I can show you guys right now that non-rares didn't go up loads this week. So as a point of interest, for those who are watching our July to Glory series, which has sadly had to come to an end, which I'll probably get into, on streams and stuff. I'll talk about what happened with that one if you guys don't already know. But yeah, I was picking up non-rare gold cards for 300 coins and picking them up very easily at 300 coins. You can see other people putting a few bids on them, but I literally was not spending over 300 coins. If I decided that it was a little bit busy and a lot of these were being bid on at 300, I went to 350 because 300 coins only shows you 75 rated cards, because 350 is the cheapest you can sell 76 and aboves. But basically, you just go and pick up as many of them as you can when they're super cheap, and it shows you right now that the demand for these cards isn't currently here, because 400 is what they're selling for pretty much immediately. Like, well, actually it's not even immediately. 35 minutes is what it takes for them to sell. Like, worst case scenario, you're looking at like over half an hour. So non-rare golds, as far as the general community is concerned, aren't as required. If you were to look at non-rare golds from a slightly more important league, it might be a little bit quicker. So you can see the League Un here, it's taking a little bit less time, but you're still waiting for your coins. But if you compare that to rare golds, so again, this will show you 75 rated rare golds. You can see that they're all going to be pretty much bid on at 600, and if I go to 650, it's probably going to be a relatively similar deal. If I was to bid on these, there's a good chance I'll get outbid on a lot of them, but I might win a couple if I'm a little bit cheeky. But yeah, you can see 1.3k and they're going pretty much instantly. So this week it was that rare golds were way more important than non-rares. They've gone up way more in price, and honestly, what I'd have done, because I kind of hedged my bets a little bit, unless we know in advance what SBCs are coming out and what the requirements are, it's very difficult to know exactly what it is you need to pick up or what's best to pick up. Now, 9 times out of 10, we tend to know, if you follow people like Foot Sheriff and stuff, you'll tend to know what's happening, what's coming out. Like, we knew the player picks and things were coming back out because the coding and everything was leaked, but I didn't know what was required for them. I didn't know what it was that was going to be needed. Some weeks it's all rare gold. Some weeks it's, you know, like 8 non-rares and then 1 rare. Depending on what it is that's needed, depends on which goes up more. On the July to Glory, each week I invested approximately 50,000 coins ish into non-rares and 50,000 coins ish into rares. One week the non-rares pretty much over doubled, and I over doubled my coins on those, but the rares barely went up and I made a little bit of profit. The other week it was the complete flip side. I made lots of profit on the rares and not as much profit on the non-rares. So it is a matter of, if you know what you need to put into them or you have a very good idea, go for the one that's going to make you the most profit. If you think rares are going to be what's needed, pick them up as cheap as possible, get them gone, make your profits. You're golden. If you're not sure, I go for a little bit of investment in both. One thing that's worth bearing in mind, as long as you're picking up cards for less than 1,000 coins, even if you sell them at the next bracket of 50 coins. So if you pick them up for 600 and you sell them for 650, you don't lose coins. 1,000 is the first place where if you buy it for 1,000 or like 950, sell it at 1,000, you lose 50 coins. So you get to 950 back. Anything lower than that, you're making at least a coin. It's not loads of profit, but it means you don't make a loss, and that's the main thing to remember. So yeah, that's a big part of how I keep my coin total at a very healthy amount. What I tend to do each week is, depending on how much profit it is I can make, I would sell like a good chunk of them and then keep some of what I bought behind to complete some SBCs. It really depends on if you're happy with the SBCs that came out. So this week, for example, on the main account, I invested about 400k's worth of stuff into rare and non-rare cards. I sold a good chunk of the rare cards because they were the main things that were profit. I kept a good chunk of the non-rares and sold a couple, but then I put a bunch into 82 plus player picks, and I've managed to open about 100 of these so far, and I'm still 100k up on what I was when I first started, because I spent 500k, I made 600k back, and then the other coins, which could have been more profit, I just put into these instead, so I didn't have to go and buy the cards when they're that bit more expensive. Instead, I've been able to just keep that. And that's just one way you can make those profits. It's one really good way that you can stock your club, but also alternatively make some coins. And it's relatively low risk and it's pretty good rewards. So one thing to bear in mind is you're not going to be making every single week like 600 coins a card. Some weeks, you know, you're happy that you get 300 coins a card or 200 coins a card. It's mainly focusing on the more players you pick up, the higher the risk gets that those cards won't go up loads, but it's a relatively low risk anyway, because again, you pick up a card for 300, they only go to 400, you still make like 80 coins a card, which is, you know, there's many worse things you can make. You can make big losses. As long as you're buying them as cheap as you can and being patient with them, you can either choose to sell them, or if you really want to, you could try and hold on to them for another week, waiting and hoping that the next week they're going to be needed more and their value goes up more. Just bear in mind, if you go massively unassigned, you're not going to be able to open packs. If you complete like objective cards or SBCs that are players, there's a very high chance you won't be able to send them to the club straight away. So just remember things like that. It's all about being patient, but also knowing that if you have to be very patient and hold on to cards for a longer period of time than planned, it stops you doing other things, which is worth bearing in mind. Now, another thing that I do a whole lot of, and I talk about it so much that it probably begins to annoy people, is genuinely BPM is so good. Now, I currently can't get to my store because I actually have a pretty high rated card unassigned that I'd like to use in an SBC. And I already have draft tokens, I think, online and offline. Not entirely sure why I redeemed an offline token, but anyway. I can't get to the store to do some BPM and show you guys. I've got loads of stuff on BPM. I have a video on how to do BPM if you look in the channel. I will try and find a way to like pop a card. I'm terrible at remembering to pop cards and things up on the screen. I'll try and remember to do that. If you don't know what BPM is or you want to know how to do it, watch that video. Super simple. But the long and the short of it is BPM is still very profitable. It's so good to do. And when we get specific objectives or specific SBCs come out, rare bronze cards especially become very viable. Rare bronze goalkeepers for quite a while have been sat at 10,000 or near to 10,000 coins, and that is because there aren't many of them and people need them. So BPM is super valuable. You have to be patient with it, and I highly recommend you don't do it when you've got minimal coins. The best thing to do is do it when you have a little bit of a buffer, because if you have a couple of stinker packs in a row, you're not going to be sat there with no coins and thinking, well, now I can't open any more bronze packs because I've got no coins. You want that little bit of a buffer, so if you go through a bit of a stinker patch, you have those things there to then go and do other things. It is also very good to be able to do league SBCs. There are some leagues at the moment that are still out, but the bronze cards aren't actually selling for loads. I don't know if it is still out because I've not been doing it for the sake of SBCs. It is. Championship bronze cards for I think it was about a week ago were simply not selling. There were very few of them were actually selling on the market, so they were all sat at like 200 coins. And it's super simple that you can basically do a good chunk of these. Like this one, very easy to do with just bronze cards. This one and this one, if you get a couple of bronzes from the same team, super simple because silver cards weren't going for loads. So again, you could just chuck them into that and get the other two done pretty cheap. And as long as you get a couple of higher rated ones, go and buy a couple of golds ones off the market, which as we saw, non-rare golds are not exactly through the roof right now. So you could go and pick up like 5, boost the rating on it, and then chuck a couple of bronze cards in there. And again, you can do this all for very cheap. Get yourself 5 packs. The silver one might make you some profit if you get some good league stuff. Rare electrums, again, you might get silvers from other league SBCs, and it makes it super viable. Going from BPM into league SBCs is such a simple method that can A, make you coins while you're doing bronze pack method, but B, you can also stock your club up with extra packs to then have for different promos. I had a bunch of these saved for when footies came out on this account, and we packed like 8 or 9 special cards from about 30 packs, which again didn't really cost me anything. I probably made profit after doing the BPM from it all, so it probably was actually that I made profit and I got loads of high rated fodder to put in the club and for SBCs. Super simple. But the main takeaway from this video is that it's so easy to just basically do the simple things. It's so simple. When I sit here and say to you, gold cards will be sat at super low prices from like Friday evenings until Sunday evenings, and it's so easy to go and pick them up for minimum and then just hold on to them for 24, 48, 72 hours, and by that time they will have gone up even just a little bit in price, and you can go and sell them and make profit. I do this every single week on my main account. I didn't in July because I was on the July to Glory account, but I did it on the July to Glory account and made loads of coins. If you guys saw the team we got in 2 weeks on that account, you'll see how viable it is. I made that many coins in 2 weeks on a brand new account where I had like 50,000 coins, like at the highest at one point, and then I turned that 50k into like 200k. It's so easy to do. It's so straightforward. Imagine doing it on an account that has 2 million. I'm not going to invest all 2 million because I ain't got that kind of time. But if I can invest like 400 or 500k, and some weeks, like I say, those cards will double in price, I make 1 million coins in the matter of like 24 hours just by being patient. And the stock club fill up with the bronze pack stuff. One thing I didn't mention is obviously going from bronze into silver and grinding that way up, which again is pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy to do. If I need to go into more depth than that, then of course I will, but it's quite an easy method of just doing the upgrade packs basically with stuff that doesn't sell. Simple. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you did, then please do let me know by commenting down below. If you have any questions, then please comment down below as well. I will do my best to answer anything and help anything that I can. Feel free to jump on over to the Twitch, because obviously that's where you can talk to me one-to-one, and we can have an easier conversation about it, and I can actually talk you through things if anything was confusing. But if you enjoyed it, do leave a like on the video, supports me, the video, the channel, everything out a whole bunch. Hit that sub button if you're new, and turn notifications on to be told any time that we upload a video. Again, watch the live streams if you want to. Link down below. The Twitch is down there. And while you're down there, check out the links for today's channel sponsor. Thank you so much again for working with the channel. But that's it for me. Thank you for watching. I've been Tom. You guys have been awesome. And I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves. And of course, wash your hands.
Nah, his name is Hursty. Slap bald head, yeah, it'll probably hurt me. Bang top bins, it'll probably hurt you. Ginger, streamer, platform, YouTube. Drop a name in the chat, we'll say hello. Entertain, yeah, you already know. Capital H, yeah, I'm a read it slow. Hursty Games, yeah, you already know.